Welcome back to the Ready Room. I'm your host, Brittany McLean Campbell, and what a week it was last week at the Canadian Swim Trials. There were 20 Canadian records broken, 3 world records broken. So much to chat through, and I have co-host Kylie here to break it all down with me. Kylie, it is always so good to see you. I wondered, just to start off, how are you doing? How's the reset back into training?
So good to see you too, Britt. It's been good, busy, getting right back into it and a little sore, but it's just how it goes.
I bet. I know that's the one thing people don't really realize always, that like there is a limited window of time to get like back up to go back down into a taper. So athletes that first week back, it is absolutely brutal. First of all, I just also wanted to congratulate you. You just qualified for your 5th long course world championship team. The time you went in the 100 backstroke was faster than you went in the Olympic final. Give me a vibe check. How are you feeling overall about the meet?
Feeling really good. I didn't really know what to expect leading into trials and was pleasantly surprised. Going faster than I did at the Olympics was something I wouldn't have even thought of. And also being able to just qualify again. And, thinking back to after Paris, I didn't even know if I would be swimming right now. So to just be there and have been there and, put up the times that I did, I'm really happy with it.
And Victoria hasn't hosted a trials in a few years now. We've seen most of our meets coming in Toronto. We're starting to get used to it. But it was kind of nice to have the West Coast crowd feel the energy of all of the incredible swimmers we have right now in Canada. Tell me a bit about the energy in the pool deck, whether it was the fans in the stands. How did it feel overall being back in Victoria?
It felt amazing. Being out west is so beautiful, and that pool is really good. It's really fast. I've had incredible memories there. So to be back there again was great, and seeing everybody on the pool deck, the vibes were high. It was so incredible to see so many people in the stands supporting. It really brought the energy to the pool.
Just kind of throw it to you with your general on night 6, announce that world's roster. What's your general overview of where the team is at, and what are you most excited about for this team going to Singapore?
I think we have such a large upside. Like you said, so many new faces on the team with just so much energy. That fresh energy is so exciting and motivating to bring to a team that is already so experienced. And, we have obviously top people like Summer who are pushing the boundaries of history. And for people on their first team and new faces to the team, like to see that and know what she's accomplished in the last couple of years and to be able to look up to her, get advice from her, be inspired by her, and for everyone else as well. It only bodes really well for a successful summer. So I'm really excited, and having the team announcement is always really fun to get everyone together and feel like, this is our ticket. We've checked this box and we're heading to Singapore.
And there were lots of records broken in Victoria. We chatted before the meet started that the last record set in that pool, world record, was Michael Phelps back in 2006. Summer smashed 3. And I mean, we'd be remiss not to kind of mention it. Of course, the 400 IM, the 200 IM, and the 400 freestyle. We also saw multiple Canadian records broken. 20. By the way, Antoine Sauvé, can we quickly talk about winning the B final and breaking the Canadian record that stood for almost the same amount of time he's been alive? Have you ever seen a Canadian record broken in a B final?
Never.
Was that not crazy?
That was insane. I wasn't even like watching, to
I
be
know.
completely honest. Um, but that's so incredible. Like to have him do that from the B final, I think just, is only going to lift the rest of them. Even though the A final already swam, but moving forward, it's only going to lift that team together.
Yeah, there were some phenomenal performances in Victoria. We saw a Canadian record by Elia as well in the 50 fly, 200 back, Ethan Eck. Summer had 5 events and broke Canadian records in all 5 of them. And we were in the double digits of Canadian records on the para side. So a special shout out, Tyson Jacob broke 2, Reed Maxwell broke 2, Sebastian Masabi broke 2, and Jordan Tucker also broke 2. More where that came from, but I think that was really encouraging. Similar to the Olympic program, when we see athletes breaking Canadian records in a post-Olympic and Paralympic year, it is really nice to be reminded that fast swimming can happen anytime. And I almost feel that when these athletes are finally relaxed, and Kylie, maybe you can make a note on that. The post-Olympic year, as much as it's kind of like, oh, I can finally take a deep breath, maybe it's a little bit less consistent training than you're used to. But is there something to be said for the idea that you can just kind of go about it with a bit of a more relaxed mindset?
Definitely. I think just having that breath of fresh air with, whatever that is, whether it's a little bit of inconsistent training, whether it's a new training environment, whether it's just the pure thought that you have time, is a breath of fresh air, and I think that can do wonders in the pool.
Okay, I am going to quickly touch on the 5 storylines that we talked about. Devin and I chatted before the trial started, and I just wanted to give a quick kind of close the loop on all of them because we kind of teed up what you should watch for, and then we kind of have a closing thought on all of them. So the first kind of highlight that we said to keep an eye out for was the busy bees. So Summer and Mary were both entered in like multiple events, and we weren't going to be aware of their lineup. Now it's very clear. Summer's going to swim 5 events. She's got the 200 AM, the 400 AM. She also has the 200 fly, and then the 4 and 800 free. The 800 was always a bit of a question mark. Kylie, how do you feel about Summer adding the 800 to her lineup?
I didn't know that she was going to go for the 800 until actually, the day before at trials. So, super exciting. Obviously, as we've mentioned a number of times, like incredible swims, and to just see her so confident in her swims and her strategies, I can't even wait to watch this summer.
Mary Sophie likely swimming 4 individual events. She has the 200 free, the 2 and 400 IM, and then the 200 breaststroke, which, I was expecting her to do well in, but the fact that she's now the top Canadian 200 breaststroker, I think is kind of fun, no?
So fun. I think it's really inspirational, and I another thing about Mary that I admire is just her ability to bounce back and continue to go event after event. Having prelims, semis, finals through an Olympic Games or a World Championships is so exhausting, and to watch her just kind of race, reset, refocus, and get back to it is really, really special.
Agreed. And on that note of multiple races, multiple events, one of our next themes was talking about the stroke 50s. The idea that because this is now named an LA 2028 Olympic event, we might see some elevation in this area. Elia Haroon broke a big Canadian record in the 50, cut like half a second off. You had said yourself, which I thought was really interesting as well, after this announcement. Of course, you're the champion in the 50 backstroke, so shout out to that. But you said you're going to put a little bit more emphasis on the 50. And can you describe to us, like, what does that look like? Is it a training adjustment? Is it a strength adjustment in the weight room?
It's a little bit of a combination of everything. Obviously, it's pure like strength and power. So making sure I'm getting that in the weight room, but also in the pool. Really focusing on the details because the 50 is so short, and you really have to try and do the perfect race. Nailing the start, which impacts the breakout and your the number of kicks you're going to take and your stroke rate right off the bat, and then leading into the wall. Like every little detail really counts in the 50, and that's something I've obviously always known, but to really want to do well at it, you have to be able to perfect those. So just really honing in on the details.
And our number 3 was Nick Bennett. Is he going to move to Montreal or not? Well, he did confirm that he'll be moving to Montreal to follow his sister Haley, who is named the head coach of the High Performance Center Quebec. He said they're apartment shopping and they will head there in September after World Championships. So we have clarity on that topic. And number 4 was breaststroke, which I'm intrigued to know what you think about this. I think there's Oliver Dawson who won the 50 through to the 200 on the men's side. So tons of versatility because you know better than anyone, but to do a 50 of a stroke all the way up to a 200 takes, quite a range. And then the women's event was fun. We saw Alexandre Lepage kind of come out as qualifying for her first real long course worlds team. And then Sophie Angus, now a 200 breaststroker.
I think that race was really fun to watch, and watching Sophie and Mary go together, and just, I know that they were pushing each other and encouraging each other the whole way along. So, a newer event for Sophie, but I think, she dropped 2 seconds off of her best time at trials, maybe even more than that. But I think, you know, she has lots of room for improvement still, and I know she's really excited about it.
Well, and I think that's the interesting thing about a post-Olympic year is that we talk a lot about how like you pick your event lineup based on your strengths, but there also is a little bit of like finding opportunities and the windows where it makes sense. Like Taylor Ruck won the 50 fly, and I don't think, last year we were going to talk about Ruck as a flyer, right? And she probably isn't spending a ton of time specifically on fly, but it's an opportunity. We didn't have any Canadians previously under that A cut, and so why not try something new? And I feel similar about Sophie. We had a retirements of Wog and then Pickram who wasn't at these trials. And it's like the 200 is wide open. I'm going to try to make the most of that. And so that was encouraging to watch. Final thought on relays. That was our number 5 of like when we come to these trials, we get a bit of an idea on where the relays are going to stand. I think the medley relays as strong as ever, if not right there. I think the biggest gap is maybe in the butterfly area because Mary Sophie just won the 100 fly, but she's kind of said, it's not really a focus event for her. We have the retirement of Maggie McNeil where we're really feeling the weight of that medley relay.
For sure, and I think that's pretty common to experience after the Olympic year. I don't think as Canada is in this situation alone, but I think people will step up, and that's the beauty of sport is that there's always, someone there and someone that can pop out and do something incredible. So we have a great mix of veterans who are experienced on the team and some new faces as well who I think will lift to a great level.
And same goes for the freestyle relays. There's definitely a bit of a gap in the depth in terms of like the 4th and 5th place finishers. The times might not be there when we look at like international podium level, but going to Worlds in a post-Olympic year is all about getting that main experience to get to race, to get to do prelims and hopefully qualify through to the final. So it's rebuilding time. And to see a name like Penny Alexiak coming back and winning the 50 and 100 free, I know that gets me excited about the potential for, watching her anchor a relay and seeing the joy back on that team, and to have the confidence of a Taylor Ruck and a Penny Alexiak mixed with some of the new names that are going to be on their first ever relay is going to be really fun. Well, Kylie, as always, it's been a pleasure. We'll let you get back to training. You only have about 4 weeks, 5 weeks-ish until World Championship. So we will be rooting for you. Hope to check in maybe once more before Worlds if you're up for it. But enjoy training, getting back into the rhythm, that final taper. And congratulations again on making your Congratulations again on making your 5th World Championship team. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
Well, a few weeks ago, we heard from my mom about her advice and insights as a swim mom. And it's only fitting for Father's Day that we do the same with my dad. Shout out to Dan McLean. He's put his heart and soul into creating a space in our family home to celebrate the successes of my sister and I. So I wanted to give him a moment to hear what he had to say about life as a swim dad.
We learned early on the appropriate level of support to give, and we had a rule in the house that we could talk swimming when you brought it up. We didn't want to be projecting what we had seen. It was part of the routine that you would go after your race, you would go stand beside the coach, and he would share what he had watched and gave you some feedback. So in the car on the way home, our perfect in was, what did Coach Kevin think of your swim? So I wasn't telling you what we saw. I wasn't necessarily asking you what you thought because you weren't always, or your sister weren't always initially willing to share, but this was like the perfect in.
I just love him so much. Thank you, Dad. I appreciate you, and I hope that all of the swim dads out there feel loved and appreciated this Father's Day. With that, we're going to end our episode with a no-cap segment with the Summer McIntosh, fresh off her 3 world record week. Enjoy.
Hey guys, it's Summer McIntosh, but my teammates call me Summy, Some Bum. Brooke would definitely be better at swimming. I can't figure skate anymore. I used to when I was a little kid, but it's way too niche, I think, of a sport for me. Me and my best friend ordered in dinner from Uber Eats, and we both got each a 6-layer chocolate cake. So yeah, that was pretty amazing. I think the most mentally challenging one that I've done is 36 100s, suited, long course, at altitude, best average on 130, every 6th one from a dive freestyle. I mean, I haven't even gone through all of them. I'm sure there's lots. So shout out to everyone. Thank you for DMing me. I'll get to them hopefully. But the coolest thing that's happened, I would say, is Michael Phelps following me back on Instagram. I saw that and I literally died. I screamed. So that was a really cool moment for sure.